Hayden Panettiere is dead. She was 36 years old. And as details of her final days emerge, one question is already hanging over her story. Why did she go back? I want to tell you something before I try to answer that question. My daughter's father beat me badly enough that I ended up in the hospital. This was years ago when police would come to a home after a domestic assault and leave the woman there with the man who had hurt her. There were times I came frighteningly close to dying. And I went back, more than once. So when people look at a woman in an abusive relationship and ask, why would she go back? I'm not asking that question from the outside. I lived the answer. And the answer is considerably more complicated than she should have known better. Hayden Panettiere had spoken publicly about domestic abuse. She wrote about it in her memoir. Brian Hickerson, the man with whom she had a documented history of domestic violence, publicly acknowledged abusing her. This wasn't something she failed to recognize. She knew, and that matters. Because knowing you are being abused and becoming psychologically free from an abusive relationship are not the same thing. We tend to imagine abuse as a sequence of events. He hurts her, she realizes it, she leaves. But abusive relationships can create powerful attachments. Fear can exist beside love. Cruelty can exist beside tenderness. Violence can be followed by apology, by remorse, promises, affection, hope, and sometimes relief. The same person who creates the terror may also become the person who temporarily makes the terror stop. That contradiction matters. Over time, abuse can erode something fundamental: trust in your own perception. Maybe I'm exaggerating. Maybe he really has changed. Maybe this time will be different. And shame makes it worse, because eventually she isn't only asking, why does he do this? She's asking, what is wrong with me that I stayed? I remember that question. I remember knowing what had happened to me. I remember knowing how bad it had become. And I remember going back anyway. That doesn't mean it wasn't that bad. It means it was that complicated. Panettiere herself struggled publicly with the contradiction between seeing herself as a strong, resilient woman and finding herself in an abusive relationship. And that assumption is everywhere. Strong women don't stay. Smart women don't go back. Independent women would never tolerate this. But strength does not make a human nervous system immune to abuse. And leaving isn't always the clean, singular event we imagine it to be. We talk about leaving as though it's a door. You walk through it. It closes. You're free. But sometimes leaving is a process. A woman leaves and returns, leaves again, and answers his call. She can understand exactly what happened to her and still miss him. She can be afraid of him and still love him. She can know the relationship is dangerous and still remember the man he was when it wasn't. None of that means the abuse wasn't real. It means attachment doesn't necessarily disappear the moment danger becomes visible. And this is where our question becomes a problem. Why did she go back? Notice who is being examined. Her judgment, her choices, her weakness, her failure to leave correctly. We turn the survivor into the mystery instead of asking what sustained abuse can do to a human being's attachment, self-trust, fear, hope, and ability to leave. I cannot tell you why Hayden Panettiere went back. I wasn't inside her relationship. I wasn't inside her mind. And I will not use her death to pretend that I know things I cannot possibly know. We also do not yet know what caused her death. Nothing currently established gives us the right to say that Brian Hickerson caused it. Those distinctions matter. But I can tell you why the question, why did she go back, isn't nearly as simple as it sounds. Because I went back too. And I wasn't stupid. I wasn't unaware of what was happening. I didn't need somebody to explain to me that being beaten badly enough to require a hospital was dangerous. I knew. And still, I went back. So when another abused woman returns, perhaps the first question shouldn't be, what's wrong with her? Perhaps we should become curious about what happened to her. Because leaving an abusive relationship isn't simply a test of intelligence. It isn't proof of strength. And returning isn't proof that the abuse couldn't have been that bad. I went back. That does not mean it wasn't that bad. It means it was that complicated. And perhaps the question was never, why didn't she just leave? Because sometimes she does leave. The harder question is, why doesn't leaving an abusive relationship always mean the relationship has left you?